And some of you don't know who I am. I'm Nick Freidemaker. I'm the high school pastor at Eastbrook, and this is my wife, Sarah.
Hello.
And we have the privilege of leading the wilderness trip and have been for
12 years.
12. It's been longer than that, hasn't it? Maybe. Okay, it's been 12 years at
13
least.
years?
13 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. We've had a lot of fun doing it, and we're excited to do it this year, to lead it once again this year. So the first thing I'm going to do is open us up in a word of prayer, and then we just have, I'll show you the agenda of what we're going to do, and we'll kind of walk through it. If you have any questions while we're going through, feel free to just jump on the chat or raise your hand or whatever, and we will answer those. But at the end, we'll also have a Q&A. So whichever one is more convenient for you, just let me know. All right, we're going to open up in a word of prayer. God, we thank you so much for the opportunity to experience you and all the different ways that you've blessed us in that through worship and through your word, God, and also through experiencing your creation and connecting with you as creator, God. I thank you for this time in which we can just have a conversation about the wilderness trip and learn more about it. Lord, I pray if there are any questions that we have, that you would allow us to get those answered. And I ask for, just great conversation around this trip that can be so transformative in our lives. Lord, we love you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so yes, if you are here for the wilderness trip presentation for parents, you're in the right classroom. If you're in the wrong classroom, you can, go somewhere else if you want. It's really your call. All right, this is our little agenda for the evening. It shouldn't take us super long to get through. I really want to make most of this time about answering whatever questions that I don't answer or don't bring up during this conversation. So that's really the main thrust of it, is that last little bit there, the question mark. But I do want to make sure that I maybe pre-answer some of your questions before we jump in. So welcome. You're in the right place if you are here for the parent meeting for our 2025 wilderness trip. So the first thing is the what. Oh, too far. Nope. There we go. The what, the where, and the why. So the what is we are going on a backpacking trip. High schoolers and experienced leaders will be driving out to Colorado. I'll show you in a minute just exactly where we're going to go. And we will be backpacking. Backpacking means that you put everything you need on your back and you walk out into the wilderness, not just willy-nilly. We have planned trails and stuff. And you spend your time out in the wilderness, living very simply, sleeping in tents, experiencing God's creation in just a wildly intimate way, because you're just right there in it all the time, but also in a really tangible way. And it's one of the best ways that I've ever experienced God, and I hope that that's the same thing for you or your students. Okay, so where we're going is Colorado. Hopefully my screen works. It's been a little fussy today. And there we go. That's Colorado right there. So where we're heading is, I'm pointing at it like you guys can see where I'm pointing, but that blue dot is where we're going. If you're familiar with Colorado at all, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours west of Denver along I-70 there. And more specifically, we are going to the Holy Cross Wilderness. There it is. The Holy Cross Wilderness, which is just south of Vail along Highway 24, which if you kind of like look to the right of your screen, very small, you can see Highway 24 kind of snaking down there. Those blue dots that you see are where base camp will be. And we'll talk about what base camp is here in a few minutes. And then those dark lines are the different trails that we'll be exploring in the wilderness. Some of my most favorite places in the United States are down here. You'll see Missouri Lake at Fancy Pass Trailhead. You just kind of follow that black line up there, and there's Missouri Lake and Fancy Lake, and it's just absolutely gorgeous places. And let me show you some pictures if it decides to let me. These are pictures that I took the last time we were there with students in 2018.
2018.
So some of them are not very good, but it's a beautiful place. This is just kind of our approach as we were walking out. You can see there's a little cabin there. I don't know how they won that prize. The picture on your right, or my right, on the right side of the screen, is a picture of the Mount of the Holy Cross, which is the namesake of the wilderness that we're going to be going to. Just an absolutely beautiful place, really awesome place to be. And this is a reservoir and Missouri Lakes, which is one of the most just stunning country there in the White River National Forest and the Holy Cross Wilderness. And so why do we do this? Why is wilderness ministry so important to Eastbrook students, so important to me in my walk with God? And I use this quote like every year, so if you've seen it before, sorry, it's a great quote. It's from this book by a guy named Belden Lane, and it says this: exposure to the harsh realities and fierce beauties of a world not aimed at my comfort has a way of cutting through the self-absorption of my life. The uncontrolled mystery of nature puts the ego in check and invites the soul back, in more ways than one, to the ground of its being. It reminds me, in short, that spiritual practice, far from being anything ethereal, is highly tactile, embodied, and a visceral affair. And if I think about like the way that I do my life and the way that I see a lot of students do life, like we definitely live in a world that's aimed at our comfort. Like I just think about, like, I just bought new shoes, and because my old shoes were not comfortable enough, and so like there's just like a lot of things that we do that when we go out into the wilderness, that kind of stuff is all stripped away, and we start to rediscover this like very visceral understanding of who God is, and we can see that through His created wonders and through the beautiful, calm morning sunset, or a hard rain, or a cold night, or a warm fire, and we realize that like God's investment in creation and His investment in us is incredibly real, and so it calls us to also reinvest into Him and what He's calling us to do and how to live. And so when I talk about the wilderness trip, this is part of the reason why, and it's also part of the reason that Eastbrook's been doing this for 20 plus years, and so many people that are strong leaders at Eastbrook have gone, or people in churches around the country have gone on this trip, and God has gotten a hold of them. And it's the best thing that we do. It's the thing that we see God do the most out of. And so it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and it's very powerful. So if you ask yourself why, this is the why that we sorry, somebody's asking me if we're having a meeting right now. This is the why. Okay, we're gonna keep moving on. So we're talking about the schedule next. This is the schedule of the trip itself. I will be sending this to you in a more easy readable form, but I want to kind of walk through each day so that what we're doing, what to expect as parents, or if you're a student, what you get to look forward to. So on Thursday, July 24th, that's the first day of the trip, we are leaving from Eastbrook Church at 5 p.m. It's really important. I know it's like a really hard like work thing, but it's like try to get there at 5 p.m. or before 5 p.m. if at all possible, because we have to drive to Des Moines that evening, which, yes, you could do the quick math, is 5.5 hours away, and it gets to be a late night. We're going to be sleeping on a church, on the floor of a church in Des Moines. They graciously allow us to sleep there, and it doesn't cost us any money, which is super great. So we'll drive there. We'll get some sleep the best we can, and get up at like 5:30 in the morning and get driving. And our goal is to arrive at Gold Park Campground. That was that campground I showed you back on that map a couple slides ago, that evening, and set up base camp. Now, what is base camp? Base camp is a camp that is set up and remains in the same place for the entirety of the trip. And
Home base.
My wife is the base camp manager, along with Steve Reed. Her and Steve have been doing this together for a long time now, like 7 years, 8.
Steve's only been hanging.
Well, but how long have you been doing base camp?
Going on 10 years.
Long time. And so what's great about base camp is, one, it gives us a home base. If something were to happen in the wilderness and we need to come back, we don't have to kind of wander around trying to find a place to sleep at night. They have something saved for us. If something were to happen and we need a nurse, my wife is a nurse, to assess what's going on or how we should react or whatever, they're there waiting for us. We have communication devices that I will show you in a little bit that we can communicate with her, and she can help make decisions on what we should do if something bad were to happen. And it also is a source of just comfort to know that for leaders and for students, that if something weird was going on, there's a stable place that is not caught up in the emotion of whatever is going on in the moment. And it's also just a great place to set up like real kitchens and come back to and like get delicious food at the end of our trail day. So we'll arrive there, we'll set that up, we'll set up our tents, we'll get comfortable there, and we're going to spend the trail groups. We're going to spend 2 nights there at Gold Park before we get on trail. On Saturday is this acclimation day. So if you've ever traveled to a place with elevation, you may have experienced this, but we are currently, I'm looking at my watch because it's not there anymore, we're like at 700 feet of elevation. Gold Park is nearly 10,000 feet of elevation, so there's a lot of difference in elevation there, and sometimes when we go to elevation, our bodies react negatively. One of the best ways to get for our bodies to get used to elevation is to sleep at that elevation. So that's what we do. We actually spend 2 nights before we put too much effort and start backpacking in the high country, because 10,000 feet is where we start, and we'll only go up from there. And so that day will be a delicious breakfast. We'll get our packs ready for getting on trail the next day. We'll do some fun stuff around camp. We might go on a little hike without backpacks up to Whitney Lake. Should just be a really nice time. Mostly low key. We'll spend some time, around the campfire. We'll have a session that night and talk about our theme and do some worship and prayer there underneath the stars. Then the next morning on the 27th, Sunday, we'll get on trail. So that means we get up in the morning, we pack up our tents, we pack up our sleeping systems, make sure we got everything ready. We put them in our backpack. And then there's 4 trail families this year, and we'll all go to our trailheads and we'll start hiking. Each group is going to hike anywhere between 23 and 28 miles. That's kind of the whole length of the trail. Not a lot of miles over the course of these 5 days, 4 nights. But we do that because, one, we don't want to just assume that every student has the strength and ability to go big, long miles. But also we want to make sure that there's plenty of time to stop and enjoy nature, stop and have the conversations that God has appointed for us to have there. And, just take our time and enjoy it, because so many people that do backpacking, if you're into backpacking, they just kind of like barrel through and they kind of miss the point of being out there. So we don't do a lot of miles, but we do spend 4 nights, 5 days on trails. And so what does a trail day look like? A typical trail day is we wake up with the sun, which is like, 5:30, 5:45. It's bright. We wake up. You're sleeping in a tent. Breakfast, clean up our campsites, and then we pack everything back in our backpacks, and we'll hike for a while, stopping for plenty of snacks and all that jazz. Then we'll have lunch. We'll have usually Devo time in the morning. Each group is structured just a little bit different, depending on their leaders. And then hike some more in the afternoon, nice hot dinner, some campfire time, some time to debrief about the day, spend time again in worship and prayer in the evening. And then it gets dark, and it's totally dark. And so usually we're in bed between 8:30, 9 o'clock, which is, for me, it's a great day. That's my ideal
They'll
bedtime.
be tired.
Yeah, they'll be very tired. then we'll sleep and we'll do that again. And that's kind of every day. And then on Thursday, the 31st, we'll get off trail around noonish, meet back at base camp. And yeah, just spend some time at base camp, relaxing, kind of debriefing. All the groups will come back together, and there'll be like story swapping, and we'll spend again some time praising God for the good things that He did, talking about how God used prayer. That's our theme this year: prayer in the wilderness. And yeah, just a wonderful time. Usually we eat like a meal that's full of like vegetables and stuff, because there's lots of good protein, because we're pretty depleted after 5 days of eating mostly carbs. And then, yeah, the next day, oh, sorry, I went too fast. We will go Friday. We're going to load up everything, pack all the stuff at the base camp, pack it into a trailer, drive about 45 minutes, hour-ish to Leadville, which is a cool little town up at one of the highest corporated towns in the United States, or at least Colorado. And it's about over 10,000 feet. Cool town. We'll camp outside of Elbert that night, or Leadville that night. And we'll have an option your students will have the option to either go into town with the leaders, with some leaders, or with some leaders climb Mount Elbert, which is the tallest mountain in Colorado, and it's like it's like an 8-mile round trip hike, and it's pretty difficult. I've never actually done it, but Sarah did it.
It's manageable, yeah, but it's hard.
It's hard. Very cool. You gain a lot of elevation during that time.
Definitely worth the effort, though.
Definitely worth the effort. And then the next morning, it's kind of a whirlwind time there in Elbert, or in Leadville. We'll eat. There's a little barbecue restaurant there that I pay everybody to take them again. Try to get them fattened up a little bit after we've starved them. Didn't starve them. They just burn a lot of calories. And then we'll drive to Omaha, Nebraska, where we have a hotel that we'll stay in there, and that is
showers.
Our first and only chance to shower on this trip. And then we will come back to Eastbrook Church approximately 5 p.m. on that Sunday. And when we come back to church, unless you have to like bolt really quick with the students, usually we have the students kind of help us unpack some stuff, and it's a big nasty mess, and so don't try to make sure you have a little bit of time to let them help us do that. So that's the schedule. Again, I'll send this to you through email in the coming days. Let's talk about gear. If anything makes or breaks a trip outside of attitude, it's gear. So if you have a great attitude, or can try attitude, and you have really bad gear, your trip is probably not going to go super well. And so I've sent you this very list multiple times, and we'll send it to you multiple times again. But I'm also going to walk through it, and I have some examples of things that we're going to show you as we go through. But the first thing that you or your students just need to kind of accept is we will smell. Again, note that there is not a shower until the 10th day, and we're doing lots of physical labor. Now, there may be chances to jump in a lake or something and kind of like rinse off a little bit, but that's not going to really get the stink out. So just know, and
we all smell together.
It's
bonding.
But what you see on this list is especially with the clothing and a couple other items, like it must be like you need to like actually bring these things. Okay. So I'm just going to read through it, and then I'll show you some examples of how we have of what we have. So 4 complete changes of clothes. Now this can be anything. This is for the drive to Colorado and the drive home. I think it's also kind of a good idea to have like that one set of clothes that's clean, that's maybe in a Ziploc bag that doesn't touch everything, so that when you take a shower, you can put on the cleanest clothes possible.
And then they won't get wet.
That's a great idea. But so 4 complete changes of clothes and a swimsuit. Again, we might have the chance to swim at the hotel. So I would say definitely make sure you pack that. It doesn't promise. Last year we had 2 hotels. The first hotel we got to, we weren't allowed to swim in because the town was out of water. And the second hotel we went to, we thought we were going to swim, and then somebody had gotten sick in the pool and they closed it just an hour or so before we got there. So no promises on swimming. Please relate that to your students, because every year they're like, we need to swim. Anyways, so yeah, but do bring a swimsuit. The next thing is broken in hiking or athletic shoes or boots for trail. Now, foot care is very important. If you do not have good hiking shoes that you currently own, you're behind the game already. And I'm going to tell on myself because I just got these shoes.
They came yesterday.
They should be broken in already. They are not. I'm wearing them everywhere. So this is what I prefer to hike in.
If you see him and he's not wearing them, yell at him.
Yeah, honestly, I wear them constantly. I just took them off before this meeting so I can show them to you. I prefer to hike in something that looks like this. It's more of a trail runner than it is a boot. It is not waterproof. I don't really love waterproof shoes because they're waterproof both ways. So if you step in water and water gets inside, they'll be wet forever and a day. But that's my preference. Your students should wear some sort of footwear that is supportive to their arches and to their ankles. If they have weak ankles, a boot's a good idea. So that'll give them a little bit more ankle support. That's only something you can know.
Tread on the bottom.
And then I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but some really good tread here on the bottom. These have got nice lugs, and they'll give me the ability to walk and run in slippery conditions. So not that I'll be running on the trip, but I do trail run. These are my trail running shoes. Very important. If you don't have these now, get them as soon as you can and start wearing them every day, even when it's 90. Your feet will thank me on this trip. And then, I have socks.
I know, but do you have toe socks?
Oh no. The next thing is think about when you're working out, you don't want to wear cotton. Do not send cotton. Do not bring cotton to wear while we're backpacking on the trail, because it will not dry. It does not breathe. It does not wick sweat. And so that can mean a couple things. It can mean you overheat when it gets too hot, or you could actually go into hypothermia if it gets too cold, because your body's you're not getting that extra moisture off you. So you want something, like this. This is my sun hoodie. This is what I exclusively hike in sun hoodies because I'm afraid of skin cancer. And it's quick drying. It wicks the sweat away from me. Very important that you have something like this that you wear. You can wear short sleeves. That's up to you.
Just wear your sunscreen.
Just make sure you wear sunscreen. That's between you and your future dermatologist. And then pants. I exclusively hike in pants, but if your student wants to hike in shorts, they can. Same idea. I have these stretchy kind of running pant situations that I hike in. They're very comfy. They breathe well. If they get wet, they'll dry right away. So think again. You want to move the sweat away from your body so that you can stay dry as possible. This is what I hike in. I would definitely bring that. Now, you're probably asking the question, what about warmth? You could definitely layer these up with a pair of leggings or a pair of something fleece lined. But again, you want to avoid cotton. So you don't want to be wearing cotton leggings. Running leggings or something like that to go underneath it are very important. The other thing,
legs will also get scratched up if you wear shorts.
Yeah.
Some people don't care, but people come back with big gashes on their legs sometimes.
Yeah.
I prefer pants as well. I hike in leggings, like nice thick ones.
Socks. Socks are also really important. Just as important as shoes are a good pair of wool socks. If you're allergic to wool, you can also have synthetic socks. Wool is really great because it will keep you warm even when it's wet. It dries relatively quickly compared to cotton. And yes, they're pricey, but I've had this pair of Wigwam wool socks for at least 7 years, and they still look pretty awesome. So they hold up for a long time.
They also resist stink.
They also resist stink, which, again, we talked about stink. Very important. Will you go grab my rain jacket, please? And my puffy. And so make sure you have something like this. If you're like, hey, I don't really know where to get that, on the email I've been sending you has an Amazon wish list. You can do that. Or if you're ever up in Sheboygan, the company Wigwam, that's where these socks are from. I know I'm just holding socks in front of you, has an outlet store where you can get these normally $17 to $20 pair of socks for like $5. They're slightly irregular, which means like their colors are a little weird, but they're $5 socks and they're awesome. And then a couple pair of underwear. Oh, Sarah would like me to tell you about this. If you get blisters, I can't tell you this. This is her life, not mine.
These are the socks I like to hike in. They're called toe socks. They're from this brand Injinji. I get blisters between my toes sometimes. So if you're prone to blistery feet, if like you're going to get blisters no matter what you do, these are the way to go. Mm-hmm. I've made several people believers. They look really weird on, but
look Muppets.
Yeah, your feet kind of look like a Muppet, but they're great.
All right, and then moving on to so think about layering when it gets cold. It will get cold at night. It'll probably get down into the 40s up at elevation. You want to have different layers. So you want to have your base layer, which is like those tights or those leggings. You want to have some sort of like your pants, and then up top you want to have like your sun shirt. Then you want to have other layers that you can take on and off. This is what I take on the trail. I have these are actually this is a fleece. It's a micro fleece. This is actually made in Leadville. It's a really cool little thing that they do out there, but you don't have to obviously get that one. Something that's thin but also will keep you warm. Really important to bring, because that can be like a mid layer. And then if you don't have that, but you have like a puffy, I don't bring this on trail because it's a little too bulky. But if you don't have that, if you don't have like a fleece and you would rather bring like a puffy, that's also a great mid layer, as long as it can compress down pretty good. And then a raincoat. It could be a really nice hard shell like this. This is a Mountain Hardwear one. Something with Gore-Tex in it. Or you can get something like a poncho or a frog tog or something like that. Those are relatively inexpensive, but will keep you dry. You need some sort of something outer layer that will keep you dry. Very important, because it will probably rain every afternoon around 2 o'clock. So again, that Amazon wish list has some examples, or you can email me directly and be like, hey, give me some more ideas of what we can buy. I love gear, kind of a gear nerd. A beanie or some sort of hat is good for if you get cold at night. And then a brimmed hat, something to keep the sun off of your face and your forehead. No, those two aren't required. They're just like, hey, like if you like to be warm and you don't want skin cancer on your face, bring those. All right, let's move on. Personal care items. Just going to quickly go through these. These need to be small, TSA size, less than 3 ounces. You really don't want to have to carry all that weight, because everything that you bring that you're going to have to take on trail, if it's heavy, you got to carry it. Toothbrush, toothpaste, little toothpaste, hand sanitizer for cleaning up after the bathroom, bug spray.
Doesn't always
help. And in the mountains, there's not always bugs, but sometimes there's bugs. So that's make your own choice there. Sunscreen, really important. If you're a lady, you will need a Kula cloth. Do you have your Kula cloth?
I can go get it.
She'll go get that. We'll come back to that.
We'll explain what it is.
Period supplies. When she comes back, we'll talk about that. Lip balm or chapstick. If you've ever had sunburned lips, you don't want that. Ideally, it has SPF in it. A medium roll of toilet paper. Don't bring like a whole roll. Like, use half of it and then put it away. We need that for going potty. And then other toiletries for off trail. Deodorant. If you have special shampoo or whatever, do that. Bring that with you if you want. We'll keep going and we'll come back to that when she comes back. Oh, she's back. Okay. So I will let Sarah talk about the Kula cloth and period supplies.
Kula cloth is not absolutely necessary, but I highly recommend it. This is, for lack of a better term, it's a pea cloth. So it's lined with silver threads to make it antimicrobial and anti-stink. It's machine washable, and you could also use like a little bit of backpacking soap to wash it off in a river and let it dry in the sun, which will also clean it. But if you're out in the wilderness and you need to pee, it's a pain in the butt to try to take your shovel and your toilet paper and dig a hole just to pee. Um, this prevents that. So you just go and you do your business and you wipe with this, and then it folds up all nice and discreet, and you can hang it from your backpack. And since it's got the silver in it, it kills the germs.
Yep.
And then you're all nice and clean.
You don't have to get that brand. You can get a different brand from
There
Amazon.
are knockoffs on Amazon,
as well.
but most of them are very pretty on the outside.
Yeah. And then you want to talk about quickly about
period supplies. All the ladies should bring them, even if they don't think it's going to happen, because they tend to end up cycling together. Sorry for any gentlemen on here who aren't even here for their daughters. But what I recommend is having 2 like gallon-sized Ziploc bags. You have your clean bag with all your supplies, maybe a little roll of toilet paper, maybe some wipes, all your supplies. And then I always recommend putting duct tape around the other one to hide the contents. And then take both of your bags with you when you go to do your business. And you can throw all your garbage, which we have to pack out, into your dirty duct taped bag. And then you can kind of roll it up and take it with you. If you have any more questions, I can answer them later on.
All right. Some other gear. We're going to move to this pretty quickly. Sleeping pad. We don't have sleeping pads. We don't provide them. You want something that's lightweight. So I have mine here. I have 2. I'm not going to show you the other one. This is one that I like to use. It's thin. It's inflatable, but it has an R value. So if you're going to go buy one, you can buy it off Amazon for pretty inexpensive. You need to make sure it's insulated. This is not for comfort as much as it is for warmth. You want it to say something like an R value of at least 2.5 to 3, because what's going to happen is, what's going to happen is if you don't have something like this, you're going to lay right on the ground, or if it's not insulated, the ground will steal your heat from you as you're sleeping at night, and you'll just get incredibly cold. So make sure you have a good sleeping pad. There's recommendations in the Amazon wish list, or if you have questions, you can reach out to me on that. A sleeping bag, if you're not using ours, it needs to be approved by one of the leaders at Gear Night. This is my sleeping bag. It's actually a quilt. It is down. It's lightweight. It compresses, and it's super warm. You don't have to spend that kind of money on it. You know, I do this for a living. It's what I do. This is one of my favorite things to do. So I
made some
have it,
investments.
but you should be making sure that your sleeping bag is rated to at least 20 degrees, because that's like the survival rating, not the comfort rating. And so you can be warm and have great sleep at night. A headlamp, or some kind of flashlight, so you can see around in the dark. 2 32-ounce water bottles. You can bring Nalgene's. Do not bring like a hydro flask or anything metal, too heavy to carry around. What I often do actually is on my way to the trailhead, I stop at a gas station, like I do this while we're driving out west, and I pick up a couple of Smart water bottles and that are 32 ounces. I use those for the trail, and then I throw them away. It's not the most green thing, but if I lose them, I haven't lost something sentimental, and they're really lightweight. Sunglasses, I don't look. Some people love them, I don't. A bowl to eat out of when we have dinner. A spork. I have this really long, like titanium spork thing. You don't have to be that fancy. You can steal one from your parents' kitchen if they'll let you. A small hiking towel or a chamois. Now, some people have giant hiking towels. I'm trying to find mine. Excuse me. Mine is this big. I don't intend to be showering while I'm backpacking, but I usually bring it. It's good to wipe my hands off, or if I do jump in the water, I can quickly push water off my body. I'll wash my face with it, and it's great. Little hiking cap. Get that. Small roll of duct tape, kind of rolled up on itself. It's good for repairs, for blisters, what have you. Bring that. Here's some optional stuff. Backpacking pillow. I love my pillow. You should bring one if you have one. This is it. It blows up. It's very comfy. Joran has one right now too. They keep you feeling like you're sleeping at home. You don't have to. A reasonable knife. If you ask yourself, is this reasonable? It's probably not. That's all I have to say about that. But
we
you
can
can't
help you discern that if you would
yeah,
like.
Yeah. A camp chair. This is not for backpacking. This is for while we're at base camp. They're not usually places to sit your behind, and so a nice camp chair is good to bring so we can sit around the fire together. Don't have to. You can always steal one from your friends, but yeah, it's fun. A notebook and pen. I put this as optional. It really should be required, but don't bring like your journal. Bring like a little notebook, something to write on, so that if God says, "Hey, write this down," I will also give you like a little devotional that you can write into. Trekking poles. Trekking poles are really great if you have weak knees, weak ankles, are above the age of 20, and are already your body is already dying. Trekking poles are awesome because they turn you into from a bipedal animal to a quadruped, and it keeps a lot of weight off of your body. You can actually use your arms to walk. Yeah, sleeping bags are provided if you told us that you are, and I think you did. But we have
a limited
we
number.
have a limited number, but we do have them. And so if you need them and you don't remember if you asked, should we bring Bibles? You may bring a Bible. Great question. But I would say you should not bring a Bible to take out on the trail. Unless you have a little compact Bible that doesn't weigh a lot and that you don't care if it gets destroyed. And all of my Bibles are not small. So when I give you devos, inside the devotionals will be the scripture verses that I want you to think about. If you want to think about other scripture verses, you're welcome to bring your Bible. Go for it. But just know that you will be putting it possibly in harm's way. Great question. What not to bring? Electronics. Don't bring your Nintendo Switch. Don't do it. Don't bring your laptop. I'm saying these things because it's happened. Don't bring your Bluetooth speakers. Do they need to bring a water filter? No, we have water filters.
You had the filtered water bottle as an optional.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, did I have that as an optional thing?
You did.
Okay. You don't have to bring a filtered water bottle. If you would like to bring one to filter your own water, that's fine. I just need to approve it because there's some levels of filtering that we need to make sure that we.
But we have giant.
We have
gravity
group-sized filters that everybody will use that can do gallons of water. Yeah, electronics. Don't bring them. You may bring your phone to. For the drive. It's a long drive. I get you want to talk to your friends or whatever people do on phones, listen to music. But as soon as we get to base camp, we're really going to ask those phones to be put away. We
won't have cell service anymore.
We don't have cell service out there, and we're going to be, we haven't decided yet. Maybe you guys can give me some input on this, allowing them to take their phones on trail. Because last couple of years, as cell service does grow, sometimes we find service in the backcountry, and it kind of kills what we're building there. And so my feeling right now is we don't need to have phones in the backcountry unless you're an adult leader that needs them for emergency purposes. But maybe you can give me information on that. Please do not bring drugs or tobacco or alcohol. Unreasonable or excessive knives. There's the unreasonable thing, but excessive. One year we had a kid bring like 7 knives. Excessive. 1 is fine. And it needs to be reasonable. Anything of value. This comes back to that question about the Bible. If it has value and you are afraid it might get wet, lost, destroyed, stolen, whatever, I would just not bring it. We're in the backcountry. Nobody, it's unpredictable. Baseline. We try to, make it as safe as possible, but it is unpredictable. And so your stuff might get broken. So don't bring it if it's important to you. Please go. There we go. Quick safety talk conversation. All of our leaders have first aid training. And so wilderness first aid training. and we renew like information about that every year. We spend time at our training just kind of going over some essentials and stuff for each of our leaders. Each group carries a pretty hefty what wildlife is that? That's a good question. I'll come back to you in just a second. Some hefty first aid kits with everything from stuff like that can splint arms to blisters to with like has Advil and stuff to help with allergic reactions and gauze and kind of almost everything you would need in an emergency situation to stabilize someone out there. And if something were to happen, something really bad would happen. Each group carries two Garmin InReach devices. I think it's in the side pocket down here. Look like this. Each of these devices are able to communicate with each other and with Basecamp, and also have a SOS button on the side. So if something really bad were to happen, the process is the leaders will make sure your student and the injured person are as safe as possible. They will push the SOS button, which will call emergency services to that area, interacted with the emergency services in this particular wilderness area. They're very nice people before. And they will come, they will send what they need to get you out and your student out.
Then some.
And then then some. And they will take them to the nearest medical center. You'll see on your screen the two closest medical centers. I can't promise this is where they'll take them. This is always a guess. It's always up to the first responders and where the closest thing that we have, the place that they have, and how they're getting them there. If something were to happen, we will first make sure your student is in a place where they're taking safe, or being safe. We will make sure that the other students are safe, and then we will contact you because while we want you to know as soon as possible, we also want to make sure that everybody else is safe before we are spending our time doing that. So that is the order of that's the process, the order of operations if something does happen. A couple other things that we do to ensure safety. The Rangers will know that we're there. I have not called them yet, because if I called them now, they'll be like, "Oh, you're coming next week." For whatever reason, in my mind, all Ranger people that answer the phone are like 80-year-old grumpy women. And so I will call them in July to let them know I'm coming, and they will, I'll get trail conditions and that stuff from them. They also we will have really detailed trail maps, and we also at our student training time spend time talking about what it means to be smart, to take care of yourself and to take care of other people, and just like how to behave in possibly emergency situations. So just a couple of questions. What wildlife is in this area? Good question. Thankfully, this is not necessarily a big wildlife area. There are
marmots.
There's lots of marmots. There's lots of mule deer. I would say predator-wise, there are some brown bear and like coyote. The grizzly population has not come down that far that we know of. So, but that doesn't matter.
Predators to what we'd see up north in Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly. We would still carry bear spray in each group, just in case we need to ward off bear or other predators. And the next question that was asked, doesn't matter what clothing to wear, bright colors are better for safety or to track potential predators. I always wear bright colors because I look like a ridiculous person walking through the wilderness. I'm just like bright as possible. Yes, I would prefer your student to not wear dark camouflage colors. I would prefer them to be able to be seen. It doesn't attract predators. If anything, it will scare them off because it's unnatural.
What is that?
But also, again, if someone gets lost or hurt, having a group of people colored in bright colored clothing would allow us, potential search and rescue to see us. So That's just a few things on safety. I can answer more questions if you have them. And just a quick thing about who our leaders are this year. Like I said, base camp, which would be first point of contact if anything would go sideways, would be my wife Sarah, Steve Reed, and a new addition this year, Jake Down, who's an awesome guy. I'm really excited to have him. In our trail families, that's what we call our little groups. The leaders are myself and Heidi Meyer. I always say her name wrong, and Josh Lisak. In trail family number 2, we have Joran Weitzer. He's right there. And Monty Kleckler, who's also on here. And Audrey Smith. In trail family 3, we have Nate Radel, Julianne Radel. And they also have I forgot to put it in here, but a junior leader this year, Lydia Mayer. And then finally, in trail family 4, we have Zach Lee and Megan Kautz. All of these leaders are experienced, except for a couple of junior leaders and new people. Monty, we love you, but you're learning this year. All of the main leaders this year, which are those first 2 names, have done this trip at least 4 times.
4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times, and have lots of experience. Yeah, some of us much more than that. So they're a great group of people. Very excited to have them back again this year. Make sure you pray for them. They give up a lot of time. A lot of them take PTO to be on this trip. Pray that God keeps them healthy and all that stuff. So that's all I have to say. What questions can I answer from you guys? If you have any, you can either type them in the chat that's been happening or just kind of pop on and ask them.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, what's up?
I was wondering about hammocks because I've done a couple of hiking trips and in those I bring my own hammock.
Sure.
Could I bring a hammock and sleep in it?
You can't. Sorry. You're welcome to bring a hammock to throw up at base camp, but we will be close to or at tree line most of the time, and there are just not really trees to sleep in. Also, we don't really allow students to do that just for a safety thing. But so sorry about that.
Got it.
Definitely have it at base camp.
But definitely, I always bring like 2 hammocks at base camp, and we'll throw them up, and you can just chill in them there.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for asking. Any other questions? What about over-the-counter meds? Oh, great question. We should talk about medications. So, we carry Advil. You tell us what do we carry?
Advil, Tylenol, Benadryl. We usually carry a laxative and some antidiarrheals. What else is in our list?
Melatonin.
We do bring some melatonin.
Yeah, so we have a lot of stuff.
A lot. All the groups usually have all of those things, and I have my big base camp first aid kit that has all of that stuff and sometimes a few extra things.
So I guess my only thing about is like if there's something specific that your student needs, like an allergy pill or something like that, don't send the whole bottle because they have to carry that. Send portion it out for the time that they'll be here, be with us, so that they can just carry just those. And those sorts of things your student is just going to have to manage. If your student is on some sort of more complicated medication, I need to know that by sometime early July, so that we can make sure that the leaders know, and we can come up with a good plan to make sure that that stuff is getting taken care of and transported and protected in a responsible way. But if there's like a specific over-the-counter med that you're like, oh, my student needs this, let me know. Any idea what the weather is looking like? Well, I mean, if you look it up right now, this is a little tip. Put in Red Cliff, Colorado in your phone. You can start tracking the weather. That's kind of close to where we'll be. Probably not hot and dry at altitude. More than likely, it could be 70s during the day and 40s at night. Right now, it's like 40s during the day and 20s at night. As we get closer, I will send out more weather-related stuff. It varies every year. A couple years ago, we were in Wyoming, and it was wildly hot. And then a couple years after that, we were back in Wyoming, and it was wildly cold. So it just varies from year to year.
We went to New Mexico, last year, and thought we'd be hot, and we froze. It
was the coldest we've ever been. So cold. So cold. Yeah, students should bring money for fast food. I think I might have just skimmed past that. Let's see here. I didn't actually include that. Oh, right here. It says, yeah, we need you to bring 8 meals worth of fast food. So we provide all the food except for when we're actually driving. And so that's roughly 8. I say 8 so they can have a couple extra dollars in case they want an extra big meal, but they need to make sure they have that kind of money before souvenir money. And if your student has a spending trouble and needs an adult to hold on to their money so that they can eat instead of have that cool sticker, please let me know and we'll make sure that happens. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was just looking at those inflatable sleeping pads, and
Yeah.
I see not every single one of them comes with its own little pump. So if we did send a sleeping pad with the kids, would we need to send a pump too, or do the adults leaders have pumps, or like how would that work?
This one you can inflate.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them you can inflate just with your breathing into them.
Okay.
Duck sack.
Yeah, some of them come with it's like a sack that you kind of like fill up with air and you roll in it and it pushes in it. Some leaders have a pump.
It carries a teeny little one.
So you're lucky if you're in my group, but that's not something they necessarily need. But it's a nice little extra thing. And if you do get a pump, get one that's like a couple ounces. They sell them for a few, like $20-$30 that are pretty light. They're really nice.
Okay.
Yeah. And then some sleeping pads, in fact, my sleeping pad is self-inflating. So you just open the valve and it kind of does it itself. Yeah.
I'm assuming that one's probably pretty expensive then. Sounds magical.
I think
REI has like the ones for our kids are like
yeah,
that.
They are pretty heavy. This one, I think I paid. It was less than $100. I paid like $98 for it. I mean, that's still pricey, but you can also pay a lot more for them. Yeah.
Those look big. The accordion mats work too.
Yeah,
those are pretty warm.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as comfortable, but they'll keep you warm.
What did you miss, Jim? I don't know what you missed, Jim. I'm sorry. We talked about fast food meal money, so bring that. Sleeping pads. Oh, Laura was just asking like if their student needs a pump for sleeping pads, but that's really what she was talking about. Yeah. Any other questions? For borrowing a pack or sleeping bag from Eastbrook, what's the timeline for receiving them, knowing what they look like for packing purposes? Great question. So if you come to the student training day, which you really, really, really should, if you can't, that's fine, but let's talk about it. We will fit you for your pack then, and you'll know what it is. And then on that gear check night, the 16th, which is still almost a full week, it's a week plus, you will get your sleeping bag and your backpack, and we will actually just make sure that all of the stuff that you brought kind of works with everything, so you'll have a little bit of time. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. We don't typically, and sometimes we do, but we don't typically let the backpacks leave our possession. But if you need to have a conversation with me about that, we can. then we would give you that backpack back when we get to base camp. Part of that acclimation day is distributing all of the gear that we promised out to you guys. So like, like backpacks and tents and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else, guys?
I have a question about packing.
Yes.
Are they basically packing a separate backpack for the trail part that they're going to do at the gear check, and once they've packed it that night, it's good, they're not going to touch it, and then they can pack separately for the travel piece?
Yeah. So yeah, this is a great question. And I will go through the whole thing. So what I'm going to have you guys do is bring everything to gear check night that you plan on bringing on the trip in a big duffel where everything fits in that one duffel bag. And that's like everything, your clothes for trail, your clothes for off trail, all of your gear stuff that you plan on bringing, make sure it all fits kind of in one space. If you have to, put sleeping bags on the outside or whatever, you can. And then we will make sure it fits. And then we're gonna we have like take detailed notes on what your student is planning on to bring. And we might say, hey, this is like, you need to go find something different, or this isn't going to work. And so then we'll send you kind of with homework back. But we're not going to let you then we're going to let you take all your stuff home and trust that you bring it back. And then we're not going to pack all of our backpack stuff until that acclimation day in Colorado, just because there might be some things that your student needs access to on the travel side of things, like, I don't know, their toothbrush. And so then we'll make sure that everything gets packed when we're out there in Colorado. So then you'll come the day that we leave with that big duffel bag full of all of your stuff, and we'll put it in our trailer. And then when we get to, all of our stuff, we'll pull it out and give it to your students so they have access to their things.
Perfect.
Then,
thank you.
Yep. And then after we've packed everything for the trail, we'll collect back those duffel bags and lock them in the vans, and they'll stay there until we're all done backpacking. And then at the very end of the trail, when we get off the trail that last day, part of our task is to unpack our backpacks, give back the group gear, give back the backpacks, and then repack. There's a lot of packing on this trip. Repack everything back into our duffel bags so that they have all their stuff with them for the rest of the journey. Yep. Great question. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just say we're done, close this in prayer, and then I'll stick around for a few minutes. I'll turn the recording off, but stick around for a few minutes to answer any questions that you may have one-on-one. You're welcome to stick around and ask, or give me an email or a call. My information is in that email that I've been sending out to you, and we'll send out to you almost every week until the trip. Yeah, thanks for coming. Great questions, and I'm really excited to spend the next couple months praying for your student, praying for you guys, and what God's going to do. So let's just close in prayer. God, we thank you for, again, just your majesty, your power, and your creative wonder that you allow us to experience, Lord. I pray that you would just give us the ability to think well about the wilderness trip as we approach it, God. If there are questions that need to be asked, statements that need to be made, or thoughts that need to be expressed, God, I pray that we would do that. And I just ask for that you would be working now in the hearts of the students that are going, that you'd be working well in them, and that they would be open and receptive to what you have waiting for them in Colorado, God. Lord, I thank you for all that you're doing. We love you. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, guys, like I said, I will turn the recording off, and you're welcome. I'll stick around for a few minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, or have a great night.